This is Talk of the Town, a weekly program featuring community events happening in and around Northeast Michigan, with your host, Nancy Smitham, and get the latest from Alpena Community College with Dr. Don McMaster. And now, today's Talk of the Town.
Good morning and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Nancy Smitham. My first two guests today are both from Huron Humane Society. I have Cindy Johnson and Cody Grigg. Welcome.
Thank you, Nancy.
Hello.
Now, Cody, you're new to the show. You've not been on before. I don't want to pick on you, but we're going to start out with you. So today you've brought Apollo with you. Tell me about Apollo.
So Apollo's rather new to the Huron Humane Society. He's about a year old. Super docile, really sweet and loving, cuddly. I've been holding him for a while now, and I mean, he's just melting into my arms. He's totally, I don't have to touch him to keep him here. He's just super
He certainly
relaxed.
hasn't tried to leave, that's for sure.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's just a great cat, wonderful cat.
So, Cindy, what would someone have to do to adopt Apollo?
They would have to put in an application. Apollo's adoption fee would be, and without them in front of me, I think his is $115.
Yep.
A base fee of $50 plus the $50 for the spay and neuter and $15 for his rabies vaccination. So he's ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so what other animals do you have at the shelter right now, Cody?
Well, we recently got some dogs in. So we have Taiku and Dale, who's available. Dale is about 5 or 6 years old. He's some type of hound mix. Super sweet. He's got a really good energy to him as far as dogs go. He's just a great dog.
Okay, and the other one, what kind of a dog is he?
Taiku seems to be some type of, I want to say maybe a pit lab mix.
Pit lab, he has a big boxy head, so he kind of looks like he's got a lot of lab in him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's probably about 70, 75 pounds.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And he's really sweet too. Definitely, I think he's more fond of women though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we do believe that.
All right. And then you have another one that will be coming up for adoption soon.
Yes, and his name's Mouse. He is a terrier mix. He's got really big ears. He's black and white, and he's really sweet too. By the looks of it, when I checked him out, I mean, you'd think he came from a junkyard or something. I mean, just so bad.
He was really, really dirty.
He was really dirty, filthy, and he's all cleaned up now. He's been medically, we're medically treating him, and he'll be available probably within a week, I'd say, about a week.
Okay. Yeah. And so if anyone's interested, how can they find out more about these dogs, Cindy?
They can go to our webpage, HuronHumaneSocietyInc.org, and all of our available animals are up on there, cats and dogs.
Okay.
Yep.
And this time of year, we'd like to caution people about outdoor dogs and cats.
Yes, there are a lot of, especially cats, that are feral, stray cats, and they live in neighborhoods. They usually live in colonies. We can't possibly take in all of these animals, but we just ask the public to please look out for these animals. If you see these animals and you know they're in your neighborhood and have been in your neighborhood for months, when the temperatures dip, in the below zeros that we've had lately, it can be deadly to these animals. If you can offer them shelter, even if it's temporary, make sure they have food, water, some place to get out of the bitter cold until it starts to warm up, you could actually save their lives. So we just, it will take all of us. The Huron Humane Society can't possibly do it all by ourselves. We need the general public to help keep an eye on these animals.
Okay, and if it's your dog or your cat, make sure you take all those precautions too.
Yes, if you don't want to be outside, they don't want to be outside.
Oh, good point.
Yes.
All right, and you have your annual gala coming up soon.
Yes, we've moved the gala to April this year, and we did that to try to get out of some of the bad weather that we have in May.
Okay.
So hopefully you can get dressed up in your heels and stuff and come and not have to worry about falling, and you still could in April, but
yes.
Hopefully it'll be better time of year to have that. So we have that coming up. We also have our annual meeting coming up, and that is Tuesday I believe the 29th.
Okay.
And that's at City Hall at 5:30 that starts. So we'll start with our annual meeting. You'll hear about what we've done at the Society in 2018. We've taken in 621 animals through our
Wow.
doors in 2018. That's record breaking. You'll hear the improvements we've made to the Society and what we have planned for 2019. So we encourage the public to come. After our election of officers, we will have our first annual meeting of the Society for 2019. So,
Okay, very good.
yes.
And we need volunteers.
We always need volunteers. Volunteers, they really help us at the Society. It frees up the employees to do the things that we need to do with the animals, and we can't thank them enough for helping us. We have a volunteer that always delivers our meet and greets. Dorothy's going on vacation for 3 weeks, so if anyone would like to step up and do that, we take our cats, and mostly cats. There's one dog that will go on Mondays, and she starts about 10 o'clock, gets them there to each destination by 11, and there's 7 destinations, and they're all within the city, so they're little short runs. And then she picks them up by 3 o'clock in the afternoon and returns them to the shelter. That really helps us on those days. It's a couple of hours out of staff time that they can be answering the phone, adopting, cleaning, taking care of the animals. So if anyone would like to do that for 3 weeks, just call the shelter and we'll
Hook 'em
tell
up.
you. Yes, yes.
And fostering animals is always a good choice too.
Fostering animals is always a good choice. Kitten season is starting. February, it will come at us with a vengeance. So we'll get kittens in sometimes with moms, sometimes without moms. Usually the kittens that come in without moms, we try to get them in a foster home. They require a little bit of work. Feeding, you have to maintain them, make sure they're going potty, all of that. We will give foster people whatever they need to do that.
Okay.
Until the kittens are old enough and healthy enough to come back into the shelter, usually around 4 or 5 weeks. We'll bring them back into the shelter where they'll acclimate and socialize with the other kittens and learn how to be cats. But that is a big help. So if you would consider doing that, put in a foster application at the Huron Humane Society, and we will contact you when kitten season starts. And kitten season will hit us for about 3 months straight. They come in nonstop. So yeah.
And then donations, things you use at home, you can use at the shelter.
Yes, laundry soap, garbage bags, bleach, paper towels, Kleenex, anything that you use in your home to clean, and those kind of products we use at the shelter.
Okay, we're out of time. I want to thank you all very much for taking care of the wonderful animals in our community, and I'll probably see you next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll be right back following these messages. Hi, welcome back. My last guest today is Jackie Krofcheck, the Executive Director of the Alpena Area Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Nancy.
I know you had a spectacular year last year.
We did. We had a really good year. We were overwhelmed with how busy we were. We try really hard not to overwhelm ourselves and eliminate programs if we need to, if they're not performing well, but then replace them. And we just seem to keep having more success, which leads to doing more things. And we got ourselves into a very kind of stressful year pulling at our time, and so going into 2019 we're super excited because we're dealing with that by hiring a new employee.
Yes, and I got the chance to meet her at Good Morning Alpena, and she's a little dynamite.
She is, and so that her first day she had the option to start on that Friday. We had an event, so it would, I said it'd be nice if you could go to the event, but I understand if you don't want to start that way. And we had to be there at 6 a.m. and she said, absolutely, I'll be there at 6 a.m. So, and by her 3rd day, which was just recently, she was selling her first membership. So
Yay.
She's incredible.
And her name?
Her name is Valerie Skorupski.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh boy. She fits in well then.
She fits in well, ski,
She
yes.
does. Very good.
Yes.
So I know 2019 is shaping up to be another phenomenal year, so tell me some of the great events that'll be happening.
Yes, so we have a very solid strategic plan. So as usual, we did some strategic planning, and some of the things that we decided we wanted to do was really focus on the 3 areas that make the biggest impact for our members. That would be educational opportunities for them, our economic development, and our advocacy. So we'll really be focusing a lot on those 3 areas, not getting rid of the other stuff that we do, like the exposure and marketing and things like that, but just really putting our energy into those things. So we have got, and I have a whole list of events, and this will grow as the year goes on and we add more things. But as you know, our biggest event of the year is coming up, and that's our
Yes.
annual dinner. So we have that on February 7th. We are shocked at how fast we sold out, or are selling out. I guess we're
Yes,
not
very
completely
few
sold out.
tickets left.
Very few. We're just, over our heads and planning for that. So that's coming up. We've also got a digital marketing presentation coming up. So, everybody tries to use social media, but we don't always know if we're doing the right things.
Exactly.
So we have a presenter that we've seen present before coming in to talk about, and he's fantastic. He'll come in and talk about what you should be doing to best use your social media. We also, and you're very involved with our Good Morning Alpena and Good Midday Alpena events. So we had our first one of the year. It was extremely well attended, which we were
Yes.
very happy to see. And then we've got several more coming up throughout the year. So
I'm excited about those and the programs that we came up with. We listened to people and put them together for what people want, and we're doing middays and good mornings, and I think it's going to be a really great year for programs.
Absolutely, and we try really hard to not do a survey just for the sake of doing a survey.
Right.
We actually want to listen and make changes, and so to that program we have listened, and we are making it much more usable for our members and attendees. So if you come, you will walk away with things you can go right back to your office and implement to improve your life, overcome some challenge you might be dealing with. So we tried really hard to really focus those events on tangible things people could utilize in their own lives.
Perfect. Next.
Yes, I know, there's so many. So we'll have our grub crawl this year, in the fall that we always have.
Yes.
Maybe I'll be in to talk about that prior to
Okay.
that event. We also have our 2 LeaderCast events. So we're doing the LeaderCast May event, which is our general LeaderCast event. And we'll be doing our LeaderCast Women's event, which is for men and women in the fall. And then also with those events, we again talked about how we could expand the value of them. So if you attend LeaderCast in May, you'll be getting invited to a private group, and we'll be kind of directing some leadership ongoing conversations within that group. So it'll be, we'll be hosting that conversation so you can take what you learn in that one intense day and spread it out and really implement it and use it within your organization. Because you know how we attend things and then
Right.
we don't use the stuff.
Right. You
because
come
it's
back home,
overwhelming.
put the folder in a closet, and you don't see it again until you clean
Right.
that closet. Yes.
Yep, so anyone who attends LeaderCast will be able to join that private group to have that ongoing instruction.
And LeaderCast gives you an opportunity to talk to professionals, business people that you would never get the opportunity to see or be one-on-one with.
Absolutely, yep, so we have, the speakers that they present, can't necessarily afford one of them, let
Right,
alone
sure.
a dozen of them in one day, right? Because that price tag is probably well over $1 million for
Right.
those speakers. So it's an awesome opportunity to see, and you feel like they're right there with you, even though it's a live broadcast. So it's an awesome event. I love it. We would love to fill that room every time we have it, but the people that go, they really get a lot out of it.
And you know what I think of the chamber, Jackie, having been involved for many, many years, so I know kind of everything you do. But when you think of the chamber and you hear these events, but you do so much more than those events. You partner with just about every economic development, tourism, hotels, anybody in town that's doing anything. You jump in and say, hey, what can we do to help? And you help make their events better, and they join in our events. I mean, no matter what it is, the chamber's involved in our communities.
Yeah, we do. We have policies about how and when we get involved so we don't spread ourselves too thin. But we do try to, we always make sure that our businesses are coming first with whatever we do because they're our members.
Right.
But we do, I just, sat in a meeting about a community council for the CRTC. So we're going to get involved with starting that up. We do get involved in different advisory councils, one at the community college. Get involved with the high school and teaching job skills and job readiness, which I'm going to talk to you
Yes.
about volunteering for.
That stuff will be coming up.
It is. I have a phone call about that coming up. So we do really get involved to make sure that our businesses are well represented and that their needs are being met in whatever way we need to meet them.
And how many volunteers do you think the chamber has?
Well, we've got 25 ambassadors, 12 board members, and then a various group of committees with 4 to 8 volunteers on each one. So I'd say probably around 60 consistent volunteers.
And when you think of the grub crawl, how many volunteers you have for that, to put that on?
Oh my gosh, we have probably close to 50 just for that event because there's shifts, people working different shifts and things. So yeah, we definitely could not do the things we do without all of those volunteers because our staff of 6 now, could not handle that on our own.
And just, you know, a word to anyone that any Chamber of Commerce board or committee that I've been on, you know, you get so much more out of it than you give. You meet business people in your community, you get to talk with people that you wouldn't normally get to see in a day, and it's just really a great way to help your community, and I really hope that people will step up and say, hey, Jackie, what can we do to help?
Yeah, we love that, and we try really hard to treat to respect our volunteers' time and treat them well, so they get value out of volunteering and not just feel like they're giving us value. We do want, like you said, we want them to feel the value of that involvement as well.
Okay, well, we're just about out of time. I want to congratulate you on a successful year last year, and I know this year is going to be even better, and I know the annual meeting will be a total sellout and be one of the best ever.
It absolutely will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please stay tuned for Dr. Don McMaster following these messages.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Dr. Don McMaster, president of Alpena Community College, and I'm pleased to have as our guest this morning Sonia Thomas, executive director of the United Way of Northeast Michigan.
Yes.
And Sonia, welcome back. We talked last week, and we had a lovely conversation about Martin Luther King Day events that were then upcoming.
Yes.
Those happened this week on Monday, and so let's debrief. Well, how'd it go?
It went really well. So as I've been in Alpena for 9 months, and so I wasn't sure what the turnout was going to be, because, you know, Alpena is not a very diverse community, and so I was just thinking, okay, well, maybe you get some black people there, but will you get white people there? You know, like, why would they want to come? Or will they understand the reason why it's important for them to come? And it was a really good turnout. So there were 3 parts to the event, and this is sponsored by the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Committee. So there's a number of churches involved, including the United States United Way, and myself, representing the United Way. And so, and I believe this has been going on for a few years.
Yes, it has.
So, and from what I heard, it's growing every year. So this year, it started off with a lecture with Matt Dunkel, who is a lecturer at Alpena Community College, and he's also the chair of the Social Services Department. And Matt had a really interesting topic called Race as a Social Construct. And so I was even challenging that in my mind, thinking, okay, it's so academic. Will people, you know, show up? But Matt was spot on with the topic, and the conversation just flowed really well. And so race as a social construct, like academics do, through research and all kinds of findings, he showed us that race, we have more in common in terms of race than not. And so that race really is not that important when you think about the fact that we're all human beings, and the only thing that really separates us might be skin color and hair and things like that. And that's probably because, you know, we live in different areas. But for the most part, we are all basically the same. And he did a really fun project with an app. He sent his students around and he showed that we're all different colors. So there's no black and no white, because you have many spectrums of black and white. And so
creative.
Yeah, and so I guess Sherwin-Williams has an app, and he went around and he put the students showed, you know, put the app on our arms, and then it showed what our colors are. So I am double latte.
Oh yeah.
By chance. And you know, so there's just all hues, not just among people of color, but there's all hues amongst white people too. Then that led us into a discussion about white privilege. And so that is one of the reasons I questioned in the first place, okay, who is going to show up, you know, from white, because you don't get it. I think you don't get it in Alpena, and especially you can use that as an excuse. Well, I don't have to get it because there aren't enough people of color in this community to interact with. But
Not the right approach.
yeah, but you know, the youth today, they have a term called woke, W-O-K-E,
Yes.
and I think a lot of the white people who are in that audience, including myself and some people of color, we're woke as well.
Yeah, good.
So why is it that we shouldn't exercise white privilege or even realize that you have white privilege? Well, white privilege is like when you look at the school curriculums. And so the school curriculum, when students are learning, and this came up in the lecture that Matt gave, you don't see a lot of people of color in the history books. And why? It's not that people of color aren't brilliant, they haven't made contributions to our society, it's overlooked. And so we all suffer, and not to mention that it's just not fair. White privilege is when you accept the fact that in the media, you don't have a lot of people of color in prominent roles. So you could probably count on, I wouldn't even say one hand, but maybe two, you know, the number of actors and actresses that are people of color in the media that are portrayed in a positive light. Usually it's more buffoon-like, or they're pimps or drug dealers. And so this perpetuates stereotypes as well, because especially when you live in a community like Alpena, then you don't know, and so you buy into those stereotypes. We also talked about, I shared an experience where I talked to someone in Alpena, and we were talking about the wall, and they told me that, well, I'm afraid because some of the immigrants, people trying to get into our country might try to hurt me. And I just thought to myself, and I kept it to myself, like, who's gonna come to Alpena and hurt you, you know? And I thought to myself, I'm a person of color, and I have a son who's highly educated, very intelligent. My biggest fear is white people, police, you know, pulling my son over for a ticket and, you know, giving him a ticket and him being killed for a ticket, or, you know, like there's several instances where black people, people of color have been pulled over by the police and just brutalized for no reason at all. So that's white privilege too, when you don't realize that some of the cultural norms that people just go around every day thinking are normal, and they're not. So I think a lot of people in that audience came out woke.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, we have about a minute left.
Oh, okay.
We could go on.
I know.
I wanted you to touch on, or feel free to touch on,
The panel and the chili dinner. We had a chili dinner, and we made about $472, and that money goes towards the United Way. We have we manage an account which cleans the coats for people in need, low income. But lastly, we had this really wonderful panel discussion, and we had Elijah Baker from WBKB, and we had a young man from the theater, a woman who has 2 children who's African American. We had someone representing the Jewish descent. She's from Page. From Alpena Community College. And then John, who's a white guy, and he works at Besser Museum. And so we had an open discussion about race, and they shared some of their experiences and how they feel about race, and some of the things that have happened to them in this community with race. And so it was really just, and people asked questions, and I think everyone came out feeling really good about it. And I believe there are about 60 people there, which I didn't expect, and so I consider that a pretty good turnout. And so I'm looking forward to next year, making something even bigger and better happen for our community.
Thank you, Sonia.
You're welcome.
And it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Here to debrief. Thank you, folks, who attended Martin Luther King Jr. holiday events. Thank you, folks, for watching Talk of the Town. We'll see you again next week.
This has been Talk of the Town with your host, Nancy Smitham and Dr. Don McMaster. For a list of community events taking place in Northeast Michigan, please visit our website at WBKB11.com and click on our community link. This has been a Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation production.